Well, hello and good morning again. And I'm just want to thank everybody that's here in the room and also with us online. And we actually decided to do a special additional training um, on the pie of real estate. It's actually a session where we're going to be talking the wholesome of real estate, not just new homes or some sector. We actually want to talk about the wholesome of real estate because when we're serving our clients, all of us come across different client pools. It's not like when somebody walks in an open house, we're like, oh, this is just a buyer. No, it could be an investor, it could be a seller, it could be maybe a person who's going through divorce and then the spouse is buying a house, or there's a separation going on, or somebody maybe got an estate from financial capital and they're looking to buy a home. So we're definitely approaching a huge different pool of people, and that's what we want to talk about Tuesday, is learning to serve your clients in their immediate needs. The broader aspect, we're in the service industry and we want to service our clients, so we have to equip ourselves with a lot more tools. And here in Powered by Ground, we always say, be trained by the professionals in the industry. So it's not only going to be myself who will be training, but we'll have other people come into this training and talk about different sectors of real estate, how we need to better service our clients. What is our vision for our Tuesday training? Is to learning to better serve our clients and their immediate needs with excellence. What is the goal? That with this program, you'll be able to determine your clients' needs and bring them the resources needed to help them get to their dreams, or to, how I say, from destination A to destination B, getting your clients from one to the next station. What's your mission, or what is our mission? Is learning to serve our clients in all aspects of life situation. If you're going to be in this industry for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, just like myself, you will see that circumstance in life pushes people in different directions. And because people get pushed in different directions, we need to learn how to meet those needs. And then networking. There's power in brainstorming, masterminding, and sharing of concepts, ideas, and experiences. And part of training and then after training is the mastermind and the brainstorming that takes place. Meaning talking, sharing ideas, sharing concepts, because this is how we actually learn. We learn from each other, we learn from our mistakes, we learn from our successes, and we understand that one builds upon the other. Motivational thought of the day. Each week we're going to have a motivational thought of the day, and this is just something to encourage us to keep moving forward in our industry. So there's 3 things that will make us successful in business if we apply them. First is taking full responsibility. When I hired my first employer and my employee did not know what they were doing, it was up to me as the one running the business to tell my employer what to do. And if I was not able to portray that, then it is not my employer's fault that they cannot fulfill their tasks. It is my responsibility to take responsibility. If the year ends and I look at my net sheet and I go, hey, I did not make enough money, well, who is it to blame if I had maybe 5 more hours extra each week that I could have committed maybe to work that would have resulted in a higher net pay? Or maybe I need to commit one weekend, and when I commit one weekend out of a month to increase my pay. So taking full responsibility for your business flow, from economics to business structure to your finance, is very, very crucial. The next thing that will make us successful is goal setting. It is so important that we set goals. And one person said, set 10 goals each day. The minute you wake up, set 10 goals that you want to fulfill for that day. Why? Because subconsciously it aligns you towards that direction. And when something during that day is trying to push you away, you're slowly still aligning with that. So for example, you're like, hey, I want to sell a house today. If that's goal 1, I want to make a transaction. So a lot of your energy and your time during that day is going to be put towards that goal. So it's important that there's also a concept called the law of attraction. When we start setting goals, we set our mind and our life in motion towards something that we're going towards, but yet that also is coming our direction. And that's what's really unique about setting goals. I actually practice this on a daily basis. I don't do 10, I do 5. I do 5 goals that I want to achieve today. And you do that every single day. Why? Again, because you want to set the course of where you are going. And then self-mastery. It's interesting, I was talking to another coach, and he said that in the broker world, people learn a little bit, then they start to make money, they start to understand how to put transactions, and they forget about going back to school. Well, it's self-mastery. Like business, you're always improving. There's no time that you could just say, well, I figured it all out. There's always something new. Real estate is always moving. There's always new laws. There's new zoning. There's new opportunities. There's new programs. Real estate is a flowing industry. It's not an industry that, it just stands still. New ways of doing marketing, new ways how to exposure. So self-mastery is a huge aspect of our business. You have to pursue self-mastery. So taking responsibility, setting goals, and self-mastery are our motivational thoughts of the day. And I hope that all of us can apply these to our life. So today's lesson, the pie of real estate. As you could see, real estate or residential real estate and the customers and the clients that we service kind of fall into 3 pool categories. We have the resale, we have new construction, and then we have distressed. So let me repeat that. We have resale, we have new home sales, and then we have distressed. And I just want to give a broader picture today about the 3 categories, and then week by week we will discuss in detail how we service these clients and what particular needs these clients have that we need to learn. So we must learn new service skills, and then when we learn these service skills, we are able to service these clients. We have something to offer them, and once we have something to offer them, the clients can feel that we have something to offer them. So let's talk resale. Resale is where we're servicing buyers and sellers. So a buyer is interested in buying a home, maybe a condo or townhomes, and we're going to talk about product in each category. So a buyer is in the market. That means they have, together with a couple or by themselves, have been pre-approved, have looked at their finances, and have made a decision that they're committed into buying a home. It's a really important investment, and we've talked a lot on different courses where buying versus renting, why buying produces so much more opportunity and wealth gain and capital growth and everything if a person truly buys. So what happens is this buyer through their life has made a decision that owning real estate is a very important part of their financial and personal goal. Not only that, we sell on experience. We tell buyers that owning a home and experiencing owning a home is probably the greatest experience that they can have. I can still remember the home that I was brought in. I remember the activities that happened in that home. I remember the things that happened around the dinner table at that home. I remember how I broke the window in that home. I remember how I broke the chandelier in that home, right? So many things happen inside of a home that stays with you for the rest of your life. So buying a home is not just, oh, I'm representing a buyer. You're selling the buyer on a financial gain. You're selling them on an experience that they will take for the rest of their life. and many other factors, the community they live and so forth. So this is a buyer. Now we're talking about sellers. Resale industry has sellers. What are sellers focusing on? Maybe they're focusing on pulling their equity out of their home and relocating. And that was a really big thing that happens when the market keeps going up and prices keep going up. People tend to sell and move to maybe a cheaper location or another state. We have people who sell because of job transfers. We have people who sell because they're going through family growth and they have more kids, so they want a bigger house. So sellers and their level of needs also exist, and this is really important as buyers. So as sellers, maybe sellers have decided to sell because they want their kids in a different school and so forth. But sellers have their own needs that we have to meet, and then it's really important, how do you service your sellers? So if a seller wants to sell their home, it is the greatest investment maybe they have made. And most sellers are not like us, who in the industry sell and buy every single day. Like buyers, like sellers, they might make this transaction once within 5 years. That's usually the average. So we have to build up that mindset that this homeowner is not just going to make this jump. They make this decision maybe once in 5 years, once in 8 years, maybe once in 10 years. It's not like us who are day to day making these transactions happen. So the seller is also in a position where they have to move real estate, and from that position they got to understand what their capital gain is, how much equity is left, what do they pay, how much are the services, and all of this for them to accommodate their needs. We talk about product, and we talk a lot about product in our new home training. We're going to talk a lot about product here. We have to understand that in our markets there's SFR, single family residential homes. We have to understand how SFR works, what kind of heating systems they have and so forth. Why? Because our clients are buying real estate. We have to understand real estate. We have to understand how condos work. What's common area, what's HOA, what are CC&Rs, where's the parking for the condos, where's the shared space. All of this has to do with learning product. You have to learn what a townhome is. What does it mean that there's a wall-to-wall attachment? What does it mean, and who covers all of this, and how do the HOAs cover the exterior and the landscaping and the common areas and so forth? And we have 3 of these products in the market. We have all of these products, and most likely your buyer, your seller, will own one of these product lines. They'll own a SFR, single family residential, they'll own a condo, or they'll own a townhome. And you, as the broker, have to help them and determine how to move in that direction. So resale. Resale is a huge aspect of our business. And again, we as brokers, whether solo or as a team, have to learn how to facilitate the needs of our clients and help through the transaction. Our job is to facilitate transactions. Take them from stage A to stage B to stage C. We have to know how to take our clients from wherever they're at to wherever they're going. And if we don't know where they're going, we need to learn. This is part of our service. We need to learn where our clients going. We have new home sales, and this is a huge aspect of our training that we do on Friday. Why? Because the new home sector is growing. The new home sector is taking bigger market share. Why is that? Because every metro market is growing. More people are moving. Other people want newer product. They want to move from their 10-year-old or 20-year-old home into a new home. A lot of people who retire want a new home and be done with it. They want to build their last house. They want to move into their last home. This is their retirement plan. So new home sector has an array of pool of clients likewise. And the buyers that you're servicing in new home sales are also have their pool of needs. Maybe they want newer communities, newer amenities, newer locations, maybe walking trails that new home subdivisions offer, whatever it is. But it is our job to learn of these things and learn the neighborhoods. again, we're providing a service. So if we don't know, I always say we have to be at least 1 foot ahead of our client. We need to learn about the new communities that are coming out, and we're going to be actually offering that service also. But we have to learn about new home sales. So what clients do we service in new home sales? We service buyers who buy new homes. And we talked about that. A huge buyer pool of people who are moving maybe from resale into new homes. And they want that new home product. There's a huge move of people who want to retire and move to new homes, whether it's on the golf course, whether it's with walking distance to something. People are moving to new homes. It's your buyer pool. Then we have 3 other categories of clients that we will overlap with. We will overlap with investors in new homes. There's a huge group of people who buy new homes for rentals. They want a new home, they'll buy it for a rental like a townhome, and they'll just rent it out, or they'll buy a half of the street. And we see a lot of builders building product for investors that want to keep. There's investors that you will meet who want to buy and hold. They want to hold land, they want to hold lots, they want to hold. So they're in the holding game. And because they're in the holding game, they want to hold product. So you have a fairly big pool of investors. And if you do your research and data analysis, you'll see how local and national investor groups are buying out real estate. Whether it's single-family residential, whether it's condos, whether it's townhomes. They are in the area to buy real estate. You'll meet developers in new home sales. You'll meet developers who want to develop or are in the process of bringing and developing product to the market. And it's really good for us as brokers to know how to service developers. Whether it's just a person splitting a single lot into 2 lots in an inner city, and we actually see a lot of that more and more because zoning is changing. And one of our things that we have to do when zonings are changing is we need to provide that service for our client, zonings. And that's part of development, taking something and splitting it up dirt or figuring out how to go from a vacant lot to some infrastructure improvement. And then we have a huge pool of builders. The brokers need to learn the builders that are in the market. Builders are bringing product into the market. The easiest way, and I often say the easiest way, is pick one builder, just one, not all of them, just one, and start following them. Sign up for their newsletter, sign up for their latest information, whatever it is. Just take one builder and start following them. And the minute you start following them, you'll start to understand how builders build, how they bring up a community, the stages of building, and then how they take product to the buyer. But I did that in my career. I would go to communities and I'd actually watch how a community would get built. I would stop, I would walk it. I'll talk to the framers, I'll talk to the sheetrock guys, I'll talk to the superintendent, I'll talk to people who are doing and working on the community. Why? Because I wanted to learn how this whole process comes together. Why? Because I could be a better service to my clients. Your and my clients are driving those communities. Your and my clients are driving those communities. They want to know, and if we can become a service in that area, they will work with us. Or they'll say, this person is a specialist, or this person understands what they're talking about. So new home sales is another huge sector, and we actually spend a lot of time on Fridays educating brokers in this area. Why? It's only going to grow. The national builders are getting bigger. They want to build more homes. We actually have international builders that are coming to the United States and building here. We have bigger investment groups. Everybody wants new. Urban growth expand, even locally here, or you pull up any metro market and you go to their counties and ask for the growth pattern of the city, and you could see that there is going to be growth. So new home sector is very crucial to the service pool that we offer. And then the last sector that we will all come across is distressed. So if you're in real estate for a year, you might not be able to overlap in all these areas. But if you're going to be in real estate for 20 years, 30 years, you're going to meet a pool of distress. Why? Because we talk, life has its own pulls and pushes. Life has circumstance. And I remember during COVID, there's one of my investors picked up a home off of the auctions, and the owner actually came back to pick up his stuff, and he was talking about, like, during COVID, his wife passed away, and that just emotionally destroyed him. He still had a really good job. The neighbors said they were a great family, but he got emotionally destroyed by the whole situation. And he couldn't handle it anymore. He just gave up. He kind of got depressed and just didn't care for anything. He even left equity on the table. He just walked away from his house. But that is distress. Unfortunate things happen in life. And what do these clients usually, what service do we have to offer? It's usually disaster, debt, divorce, or death. They call them the 4 Ds of distress. And we're going to talk a lot more about that in our trainings also, and we'll have other brokers who have been doing hundreds of transactions in these areas of servicing homeowners in distress. And again, whether you have a buyer who's going to buy a distressed property or a seller who has to get rid of their property and sell their property to the market through a distress, but there is a certain way that you should handle distressed properties. I'll tell you, they are emotionally draining. These clients are emotionally in a very bad place. They usually talk more about their problem than about their real estate. They usually talk more about their circumstance or the outcome of their circumstance than anything that has to do with their financials. They oftentimes overlook their financial capabilities in this moment. And so it's very important, like in the aspect of, say, death, or in the aspect of disaster, or in the aspect of debt, people might be over leveraging, or a loss of work, or a loss of, I actually had a lady, I remember, her husband died, and they had a lot of medical bills, and she never took care of their financing. She was an elderly woman, and all of that health bills caught up with them and caught up with the house. And when I met her, all she could do is just cry, and that's it. And I was like, there's equity in the home, but she was so overwhelmed about the whole situation, that her husband passed away a year ago, that there's all these medical bills that, she doesn't have the capital to pay for, that there's a home with equity, but it's a mess because she doesn't have the strength to upkeep the house. So it's just like one thing becomes another, and it's a snowball effect when it comes to working with distress. I worked a lot on the repo side. That's where banks are left with the property, the homeowner walks away, the bank goes through either renovation or cleanup and so forth, and then brings the product back to the market. So what product are you dealing with when it comes to distress? Oftentimes it's an as-is sale, meaning the seller, the homeowner, is not interested in doing anything with the property. And your buyer that you're servicing, if they're buying a distress, you should tell your buyer that, hey, this is a distressed property. Usually you'll get what you see. Very few times, people are willing to wedge their way. If it's a repo property, that means it's like a bank owned, it has been repossessed by the bank, or it's investor or third-party investor. Usually they maybe have their own forms that they want to go through. Oftentimes disclosures are totally different because the person, that investor, that bank never have occupied the home, so they have no idea what's going on with the house, with the community, or anything. So you have very limited disclosures in that stage. So when you buy a repo, or you work either on the bank side, helping facilitate the bank on the repo, or on the buyer side, assisting your buyer working on the repo. Proper preparation is needed on both sides. And then you always have in distress some level of attorneys. You have attorneys that are involved in distress, and you have to find a little bit more patience because attorneys maybe don't respond as often. There might be bankruptcy involved if there's debt. Different chapters of bankruptcies depend on how the transaction will go. If the court needs to be involved, if there's a divorce, or if there's disaster. When we just had rates started to go up, I went to title and I actually asked, what's your kind of pool of business? And she said there's a lot of divorce happening because people become financially strained to certain situations. So the title rep, she's to the point where the husband and the wife have to come in different times to sign documents. So title has to learn how to work with distressed clients. We have to learn how to work with distressed clients. We cannot just brush it away. But I'll tell you, it's the harder aspect of our business is to work with distress because people are usually emotionally very unstable. People are angry. People are discouraged. People's dreams have been crushed. And people they overreact a lot compared to what needs to happen. So on Tuesdays, our goal is to train on the pie of real estate. And this is the more services we learn how to offer to our clients, the better we will be able to service our clients. And again, through our career, if you're going to be in this career longer than a couple of years, you're going to overcome, or you're going to come across these people and this pool of people. And part of our training is, yes, we'll teach script, we'll teach how to overcome, but we'll also educate on how we provide more service in this moment. What do we do? What do we do as brokers? When it comes to new home sales and building, working through the whole process of building a home. When it comes to resale and working through just a regular seller, a regular buyer. When it comes to distress, maybe there's auction involved, maybe it's a short sale, maybe there's debt, maybe whatever it is, maybe there's a bunch of liens on title. How do you process all of this to keep the transaction going and yet keeping your clients and everybody happy? And this is very crucial. We have to learn to provide more services. The more services we provide, the more we can facilitate. But also, I'm just going to say that if you don't know something, ask questions. So in every area that I have become an expertise in real estate, I have been trained by somebody. It did not just fall from the sky in my lap. I did not get zapped by lightning and it was I figured it out. Somebody trained me. So when I was in the repo world, doing a lot of distressed properties, I had a whole team that trained me how to do distress. Yes, it took some ramp-up time, but I learned, banks want this is what they want, this is how you service sellers, this is how the repo works, this is asset managers, all of this. When I worked for a broker and a team and did short sales, this is what you want. When I did resale and, working with a seller just to sell the home or working with a buyer on helping them facilitate transactions on the buying and the move dates and all these things that we think is not a big deal, but for them it's a big deal. For the buyer, it's a big deal when they've been renting for 5 years and now they need to give a 30-day notice because they don't want to pay another payment to their apartment and they have to move on time. And I know of those clients, I've had those clients, when that move-in date is crucial. If I can't move in this weekend, it's the end of the world. And you're like, no, it's not. There's another day. No, we need to move in this weekend. And they give you 20 pages of why, and if it doesn't happen this weekend, and I have my move. Yes, I have to sign on that. I mean, it just gets brutal, but But you have to learn how to take all of that and say, okay, let's figure this out. Let's move from this station to this station, and let's move through it, But that's really this is what happens when we learn how to provide services and try to be emotionally stable ourselves through the transactions, once oftentimes our clients are very emotionally unstable. So ask questions, ask for help to learn in different areas, in different categories. And this training, there's not a lot of training out there. There's a lot of training on resale. There's not a lot of training in distress or new homes. And that is our goal, is to facilitate this, because markets do change. And when markets change, our service skills have to change also. And we've talked about this, that rates were low. A lot of people bought with low rates, so they're not tending to move. We understood that new home sector is the only one that's going to provide a lot of product to the market. And that's still the case today, this year, that a lot of new homes are still selling because there's still not a lot of inventory in resale that's going to come to the market. So a couple of takeaways, and we'll be wrapping up for this morning. Real estate is a contact sport. We are always talking to people. Real estate is a service industry. We're always learning how to service our clients. So if we learn how to service and equip ourselves, we'll eventually learn how to relay that to our client. If we do not learn how to equip ourselves, and we talked about in the mastery, motivation of the day, in self-mastery. If we do not learn how to equip ourselves, we will never be able to equip our clients. And this is the aspect of training on Tuesday. Increase our service skills to our clients. We have to first increase the service skills. We have to learn how to become that buyer. We have to learn to create that mindset, how to become that seller, how to become that investor, how to become that builder, how to become that developer, and learn to process these things and vet out what's the best thing I could do for my client in this moment. And this will generate business. Why? Because we're in the service industry. Any questions? Awesome. Thank you for coming. Any questions? Han?